everybody, it's Catherine from Jayne, Catherine on Books, and I'm here today with another one in my Duos series. So for those of you that have just recently joined and subscribed, thank you very much. And obviously, as ever, much thanks to my lovely friends that I've made over the last 3 years since I've had my booktube channel. But I'll explain a little bit if you are new. I've got a duo series where there's a link between the two books. So it might be, I did one that was featuring the heart. There was one, you know, for example, somebody had a heart transplant and a book about something to do with hearts and loves, that sort of thing. I did one on tattoos, two different, completely different books. One was Ink and the other one was The Tattoo Thief. So there is a sort of loose link there between the two. So sort of we can have a look at them both. So what I've read recently, the two I've read recently, that the link is survival. So I've reread, which I've read many times, The Lord of the Flies by William Golding and The Natural Way of Things by Charlotte Wood. And these are both about survival and sort of other sociological traits that come out in people when they are you know, under severe conditions and when they're, you know, they're up against it, sort of thing. So obviously Lord of the Flies, it was first published in 1954. I actually did this as one of my O-level books, so that's what got me first interested in it. William Golding was actually knighthood, and he did win a Nobel Prize for Literature. He died in the 80s, I think. Got his Nobel Prize for Literature in 1983. Knighted in 88. Sorry, he died in 1993. And for those of you who don't know Lord of the Flies, they're a group of school children on a school trip, and they're on an aeroplane, and the plane crashes and the children survive, but there are no surviving adults. So they seem to landed on a desert island, and it's about the time that they spend on this deserted island and how they go from you know, schoolboy, well-behaved school children, how they then turn into savages, really. So I think it was known of one they did used to call sort of, you could say it's an allegory, which is it's sort of talking just on the surface of it about these children you know, they survived a plane crash and they're building bonfires and going hunting and all that sort of thing, but then there's a lot deeper meaning behind it. Now don't be put off by that, because it is easy to read. You know, sometimes some of the classics or some of the books that they choose for, obviously, school qualifications can be a little bit intimidating, and they can be a little bit over flowery, I think I would say. But I think this is quite easy to read. I think it makes sense, and I think it's one of those books that you can make of it what you will, really. There's very good characterizations in here as well, and I'm sure most of us, once you read it, you must know somebody of the particular traits of each of the characters in this. So although they are school children, you can see various adult traits, like one's a bully, one's the one that's being bullied and being, you know, pushed around, and there's somebody that just falls in line with everybody for the sake of the peace. Then there's a battle over people that want to be in charge and want to be the leaders, and I don't think that alters whatever age. I think in society you do get that mix of people. You know, it's what makes a good team. When you've got, you know, when you're choosing a good team for things, you look at those mix of of qualities to enhance the whole team. However, it goes totally wrong in this book, and they've got nobody to tell them what to do. So of course kids, when they're bad enough telling them what to do, never mind when there's nobody telling them. Can you imagine it? So they all get led astray. They all start getting quite savage in lots of ways, and people get injured, and it's not very pleasant really towards the end. So it's it's not easy peasy look at society and everything's nice and great. They're just playing in the sand because they're being they're there and they've got to fight for survival. And it shows how very soon human beings, if they're in the right circumstances and they're up against it, have to turn more savage, have to turn more self-centered and insular for self-preservation, I suppose. And it must be something that's inbuilt in us, I think. But obviously some are more savage than others. And you can also see that there are certain of the characters in here that are already have got those tendencies. So we already know that there is bullying in schools, and there are certain children that are downright evil, some of them, and they go on to be psychopaths, sociopaths or whatever. So I just like this book. I remember thinking, like when we did it for O-level, so it was like in the late 70s, how shocking a book it was, really. It was, and if you think if it first came out in the 50s, and I must have read it, 76 I read it. It was quite shocking, and it was quite honest and brutal, and it did make you realise what people can be like and what they can be pushed to. And I remember thinking that was quite shocking as a young 16-year-old, and I think it still holds its test of time now. I gave it 4 stars because it is, you can't say it's dated. It is dated to a certain extent, but all the awful things that are still in society today, the bullying, the racism, sexism, all the awful things that are still prevalent in society are depicted in this. And so, I think the issues within it, I think perhaps the writing's a little bit outdated, why I didn't give it 5 stars, but I think the issues within it are still very relevant today and very important topics to look at. So that's Lord of the Flies by Sir William Golding. Now we'll look at The Natural Way of Things. I've never read anything by Charlotte Wood before. I've just turned the page here and it said Echoes of Lord of the Flies. So, I think, crikey. Yeah, and I did feel that. I think I even put somewhere, that might be what my little pink sticker is. No, pink sticker, and I don't know what the heck I've put a pink sticker in for. So this is more modern day. And as I say, I have not read anything by her before. She's an Australian author, Charlotte Wood is, and this is set in Australia. And it's a group of women who find themselves in a prisoner camp, really, for want of a better way of describing it, in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the bush or whatever, out in the outbacks of Australia. And it starts with 2 newcomers that have arrived. They're sort of drugged and abducted and brought to this prisoner camp. And it sort of starts with looking at them, and they've just arrived and what's happened. And you find, this is quite brutal as well in the beginning. You know, you do get touches of looking at modern day slavery in here. And there's slavery from all people, from all colours, all races, all, you know, all religions in today's society. And they are treated really badly, these women. It turns out that really there's a lot of the captors are very misogynistic. There is a lot in here touching on sexism, slut shaming. They're all captured for sleeping with a high profile person. So the captors deem it that they, you know, well, oh dear, we better get rid of these women. They're not good for society. You know, they sleep around, they've slept with A, B, C and D. And it all hush-hush because they're all prominent figures in society. And they think, well, you know, they sleep around, they deserve to be captured. So they're all contained within this campus. And it is a look at how they go from, you know, all young women who have been captured, had a normal life beforehand, and how they end up getting nearer and nearer to savagery. Savagery, is that the right word? Savagery, I think so. I think so. And how they have to survive, and what they have to do to survive. It's the survival of the fittest, it's survival of the cleverest, I suppose. You've got to be quite wily in here to be able to get better of the captives. And I gave it 5 stars. It was a very, very well written book, and you couldn't stop turning the pages. But you know, it was really quite disturbing. It's not for the faint-hearted. You know, it was disturbing to see how they were treated as slaves, and how generally how they have to live, and they've had their hair shorn off, and they're just treated like animals, really. So you know, the author does depict that really cleverly. And it sort of looks at female friendship, but again how the survival instinct kicks in. You know, like I say, I think it must be an inherent thing. If push comes to shove and everybody's in that position, would we all go that way? Really, really good. It's one of those that I couldn't stop thinking about long after I'd finished it. I don't know if it's how long ago. Probably a month since I finished this now, and I still think about it. Yeah, I'm not sure much else to say. It says here, at once brutal and beautiful, surreal yet intensely vivid, the novel is disturbing and enthralling. An absorbing plot, lyrical prose and discomforting imagery makes Wood's novel decidedly gripping. And that's by Kirkus Reviews. And actually that says it all. I think that sums up everything that I really want to get across to you about this book. Now, it's not fast-paced, so you know, if you really like fast-paced books, you might find this a little bit slow. But there's something going on all the time. There's something of interest. You know, sometimes I don't like slow-paced books if there's not much happening as it's chugging along. Whereas this is slower, but there's plenty of interest there to keep you captivated. There's different people, there's different women that we take a little snapshot of. And yeah, very, very well done. I mean, it says here, they think it was, some people would say it's a liken to The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. There's elements of that in it, but it's not quite as dystopian, I don't think, as that. So if you're not really into dystopian books, it's not that, I wouldn't say. So there we go. Have a look at those two, see if they interest you. The Natural Way of Things by Charlotte Wood, and obviously well-known classic The Lord of the Flies. Okay then, so I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.